Dr. Hyun floated near the viewing window of the research ship Eternal Dawn. Stars filled the darkness ahead, but today was different. Today, humanity would meet aliens for the first time. Are you ready for this? Gina asked from the pilot seat. Her hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. She had flown many missions, but nothing like this one. Hyun nodded and checked his equipment again. As the mission's lead scientist, he carried the weight of representing all of humanity. The whole world is watching us, he said quietly. Taiho looked up from his engineering station. All systems are working perfectly. The ship is ready for anything. His voice carried confidence, but his eyes showed worry. Nari sat at the communication desk, her fingers dancing over alien language programs. I have 17 different greeting patterns loaded. We should be able to talk to almost any species we meet. The 4 crew members had trained for 3 years for this moment. Earth's first contact mission was humanity's biggest step into the galaxy. They had detected alien signals from this star system and followed them here. Contact ahead, Gina called out. 5 ships, unknown design. Hyun moved to his station and looked at the readings. The alien ships were beautiful. They looked like silver teardrops floating in space. Each one was twice the size of the human research vessel. They're scanning us, Taiho reported. Very advanced technology. Much more advanced than ours. Hyun felt excitement fill his chest. This is it. Nari opened communications. Use greeting pattern 7. Nari's hands moved quickly. She sent out a simple message in mathematical language. It said, hello, and we come in peace. The response came immediately, but it was not what they expected. The alien voice sounded afraid. No, stay away. You are the feared ones. The prophecy is true. The human crew looked at each other in confusion. Hyun stepped forward. Nari, tell them we don't understand. We want to be friends. Nari sent another message, but the alien response was even more panicked. Impossible. The destroyers have returned. Alert all fleets. The universe breakers are here. Universe breakers? Taiho said. What does that mean? The alien ships began to move away from them. Their weapons charged with bright energy. They're preparing to attack, Gina warned. Should I raise shields? Hyun's mind raced. Everything was going wrong. Wait, send them our historical records. Show them we are peaceful. Nari worked quickly, sending files about human art, music, and philosophy. She included images of Earth's beautiful landscapes and cities. The lead alien ship responded again. This time the voice was different. Older and more commanding. I am Commander Veltar of the Viridian Fleet. Your records prove nothing. We know what you are. We know what you do. But we don't know what you're talking about, Hyun said through Nari's translation system. This is our first time meeting other life forms. We come seeking friendship and knowledge. Lies. Veltar's voice cracked with fear. Every cycle you appear. Every cycle civilizations fall. You consume everything in your path, not with war, but with something worse. Gina kept the ship steady as the alien weapons locked onto them. Hyun, they're really going to shoot us. Hyun felt desperate. Commander Veltar, please. We don't understand. What have humans done wrong? We've never left our star system before today. There was a long silence. When Veltar spoke again, his voice was full of ancient sadness. You truly don't know, do you? Your species has appeared in our legends for thousands of years. The Wanderers, the Adapters, the ones who take everything and make it better until nothing original remains. That doesn't sound evil, Taiho said quietly. Evil? Veltar laughed bitterly. No, you are not evil. That would be easier to fight. You are something far more dangerous. You are inevitable. The alien ships began to retreat, but their weapons stayed active. Wait, Hyun called. If we're so dangerous, why don't you destroy us now? Because, Veltar said, your kind cannot be destroyed by force. Every species that has tried has only made you stronger. You learn from every attack, adapt to every weapon, improve every defense. Nari looked confused. How can they know this if we've never met before? The records are clear, Veltar continued. Your kind appears every few thousand years. Different faces, different worlds, but always the same pattern. First contact, peaceful intentions, then slow integration, then consumption. Consumption of what? Hyun asked. Everything. Culture, technology, identity. You don't destroy civilizations. You improve them until they become you. The alien ships were moving faster now, heading for the edge of the star system. Commander, please, Hyun begged. If what you say is true, then help us understand. We don't want to hurt anyone. Veltar's final message came with coordinates to a location deep in space. If you truly seek answers, go to these coordinates. But know this, every species that has learned the truth about your kind has faced the same choice. Join you, hide from you, or cease to exist. The alien ships disappeared in flashes of light, leaving the human crew alone in empty space. The 4 humans sat in shocked silence. Finally, Taiho spoke. Did that really just happen? They were terrified of us, Nari said. But why? We've never hurt anyone. Gina plotted the coordinates Veltar had given them. These lead to a sector marked as forbidden in our star charts. No one knows what's there. Hyun stared out at the stars. Everything they had planned for first contact had gone wrong. Instead of making friends, they had apparently confirmed the aliens' worst fears about humanity. Maybe we should go home, Taiho suggested. Report what happened and let others decide. No, Hyun said firmly. We need answers. If we're really some kind of threat to the galaxy, we have to understand why. We have to understand what we truly are. Gina began setting course for the coordinates. Then we go into forbidden space. As the eternal dawn turned toward the unknown, each crew member wondered the same thing. What terrible truth about humanity was waiting for them in the darkness ahead? The stars offered no answers, only an endless journey into mystery. The coordinates led them to an asteroid field that looked empty at first. Gina flew the ship carefully between the floating rocks, following the navigation data. There's nothing here, Taiho said, checking his sensors for the 3rd time. Wait, Nari pointed at her screen. I'm getting strange readings from that large asteroid. It's too perfectly round. Hyun studied the readings. You're right. That's not natural. Take us closer. As they approached, the asteroid began to change. Parts of its surface moved away, revealing a massive space station hidden inside. The structure was incredible, towers of crystal and metal reaching in all directions. Incredible, Gina whispered. How old is this place? Before anyone could answer, their communication system activated. A voice spoke in perfect human language, but it sounded like wind through leaves. Human vessel, you are expected. Dock at Bay 7. Come alone, Dr. Hyun. How do they know my name? Hyun asked. How do they know our language? Nari added. Hyun gathered his courage. I have to go.
Keep the ship ready to leave quickly if needed. The docking bay was enormous.
Strange ships from many different worlds sat in organized rows. Hyun had never seen such variety in design and technology. A figure waited for him at the airlock. It looked like it was made of pure light, shifting between different colors as it moved. Welcome, Dr. Hyun of Earth. I am Ether Isis, speaker for the Galactic Council of Ancients. We have been waiting for your kind to find us again. Again? Hyun followed the being through corridors filled with impossible architecture. We've never been here before. Your species has. Many times. Each time you are different but the same. Come, the council waits. They entered a vast chamber where beings from across the galaxy sat in a circle. Some looked like living crystals, others like flowing water. Some had forms that hurt to look at directly. A creature made of what appeared to be living stone spoke first. I am Zephron of the Crystal Collective. We have called this emergency session because of you. Because of me? Hyun felt small among these ancient beings. Etheresis gestured to a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Every civilization represented here is older than yours by millions of years. Yet all of us have legends about your species. Images appeared in the air around Hyun, cave paintings from worlds he had never seen, ancient texts in languages he couldn't read. But all showed the same thing, beings that looked remarkably like humans. The Wanderers, said a creature that looked like a jellyfish made of stars. The Improvers, the Inevitable Ones. Every name, but all describing the same phenomenon. Zephron's crystal form pulsed with different colors. Your species appears in cycles, Dr. Hyun. Always exploring, always adapting, always growing. That sounds normal for any intelligent species, Hyun said. No, Etheresis replied sadly. Most species reach a balance. They grow to fill their niche in the galaxy, then stop. They become stable. Content, you never stop. Another being, this one resembling a tree made of metal, spoke up. In our records, 3 major civilizations have vanished completely in the past 1,000,000 years. The Builders. The Singers. The Eternal Gardeners, what happened to them? Hyun asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. They encountered wanderer species, beings matching your exact description and behavior patterns. The holographic display changed, showing dead worlds and empty space where star systems used to be. They weren't destroyed by war, Zephyron explained. They were absorbed, integrated. The Wanderers didn't conquer them. They helped them, improved their technology, solved their problems, made their lives better. That's good, isn't it? At first, yes. But slowly, the original species lost their identity. Their unique culture became mixed with Wanderer culture. Their technology became Wanderer technology. Eventually, there was no difference between them and their helpers. Etherisis showed more images. The process takes centuries, but it is always the same. First contact, cultural exchange, technological sharing, integration, and finally homogenization. You're saying we destroy civilizations by helping them? Not destroy, the tree being corrected. Transform, absorb, make them into versions of yourselves. The end result is the same. The original species ceases to exist as anything unique. Hyon felt sick. But we don't mean to do that. We just want to share knowledge and make friends. Intent doesn't matter, Zephyron said. The pattern remains constant across all recorded encounters with Wanderer species. A new voice spoke from a being that looked like living water. There is more, human. We have found evidence that your predecessors didn't just absorb other species. They consumed entire galaxies. Galaxies? Hyon couldn't believe what he was hearing. The Eternal Builders, the last Wanderer species we have records of. They became so successful, so good at improving everything they touched, that they grew beyond their home galaxy. They spread to others, always helping, always improving. What happened to them? Etheresis dimmed sadly. They ran out of resources. When you improve everything, when you make every system more efficient, when you help every species reach its maximum potential, you also maximize the demand for energy and materials. They starved. They consumed everything available, then moved on looking for more. Always growing, always needing more. Until there was nothing left that could sustain them. The council chamber fell silent. Hyon stared at the holographic display showing empty space where galaxies once existed. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked quietly. "Because this time we want to try something different," Zephyron said. "Previous councils tried to stop Wanderer species through force. It never worked. They just adapted to overcome whatever was used against them. This time, we want to see if your kind can learn to control your nature before it's too late. But first," Etherisis said, "you must understand what you truly are. Your ship detected 3 more human vessels approaching this system. Your species is already beginning to spread." Hyon's communicator buzzed. Nari's voice came through clearly. "Hyon, we're getting signals from Earth. 3 more ships left yesterday heading for different star systems. The government is calling it the Great Expansion." "It's starting again," the water being said sadly. "The pattern continues." "No," Hyon said firmly. "Not this time. This time will be different." "How can you be certain?" Zephyron asked. "Because now we know the truth, and humans can choose to be different when we understand the consequences of our actions." Etherisis flickered hopefully. "That would be unprecedented." "Then let's make history," Hyon said. "Help us learn to control our nature instead of being controlled by it." The council members looked at each other in ways that transcended physical gesture. "Very well," Zephyron said finally. "We will try, but know this, Dr. Hyon. If your species cannot learn restraint, we will have no choice but to contain you by force." "And if that fails?" Hyon asked. "Then we will do what the previous council should have done. We will evacuate this galaxy and leave you to consume it alone." As Hyon returned to his ship, he carried the weight of his entire species' future. Humanity had always believed they were destined for greatness among the stars. Now he knew the terrible price that greatness might cost. The emergency meeting in Geneva brought together leaders from every nation on Earth. Salman sat at the large table, her files spread before her as she prepared to brief the Global Defense Council about humanity's first contact. "The situation is unlike anything we prepared for," she began. "The aliens weren't hostile because they hate us. They're terrified because they think they know what we are." General Morrison leaned forward. "What exactly do they think we are?" "A species that accidentally destroys civilizations by helping them too much." The room erupted in confused voices. President Chen raised her hand for silence. "Explain that, Dr. Sumin." Sumin activated the holographic display showing the data from the Eternal Dawn. "According to the Galactic Council, species like us appear throughout history. We integrate with other civilizations and slowly absorb them until they lose their original identity. That's ridiculous, said Dr. Park from the Science Ministry. We're explorers, not conquerors. That's exactly what makes us dangerous, Soman replied. We don't conquer. We improve, we help, we make things better. And apparently that's worse than conquest. Junho, the military strategist, studied the alien data carefully. These records show 3 major galactic civilizations that went extinct after contact with wanderer species. Species that behave exactly like humans. So what are you suggesting? Morrison asked. That we abandon space exploration? Some people are, Soman admitted. The Isolation Party wants to seal Earth off from the galaxy forever. They think it's the only way to protect other species from us. And others want the opposite, Junho added. The expansion movement believes we should embrace our nature and spread across the galaxy as quickly as possible. President Chen looked tired. What do the scientists recommend? Soman opened her folder. We propose the Darwin Protocol, named after Charles Darwin, who studied how species adapt and evolve. What does this protocol involve? Dr. Park asked. Controlled contact, Junho explained. We study our interactions with alien species carefully. We learn exactly what makes us so different and dangerous. Then we develop ways to control those traits. Meanwhile, Somin continued, Dr. Hyan's team is investigating the eternal ruins, remains of the last species like us. If we can understand what happened to them, maybe we can avoid their fate. The holographic display changed to show the eternal dawn approaching a massive derelict spacecraft. Back in space, Hyun floated through the ancient ship's corridors. The vessel was enormous, easily 50 times larger than any human ship, but the design felt familiar in a disturbing way. The architecture is almost human, Taiho observed as he scanned the walls. Same proportions, same spatial organization. These beings thought like us, Nari added, studying strange symbols carved into the metal. Their language patterns are remarkably similar to human linguistic structures. They found the ship's main computer core in what appeared to be a command center. The chairs and control panels were sized for beings very much like humans. I've got power restored to the data systems, Taiho announced, accessing the ship's logs now. Holographic images filled the room, showing tall, pale beings that could have passed for humans at a distance. They wore simple clothes and moved with familiar gestures. We are the Eternals. The recording began in a voice that sounded hauntingly human. If you are seeing this message, it means our kind has appeared again in the galaxy. Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. Again? The hologram continued. We were explorers once, like you probably are. We sought knowledge and friendship among the stars. We found both, and it destroyed us. Images showed the Eternals meeting various alien species. The encounters looked peaceful and productive. At first, everything went well. We shared our knowledge. The other species shared theirs. Together, we built wonders neither could have achieved alone. The images showed incredible cities spanning entire planets. Technology that bent space and time. Art that combined the best of dozens of different cultures. But slowly, we realized a terrible truth. Every species we helped became more like us. Not through force or pressure, but naturally. Our ways of thinking were simply more efficient. More efficient? Gina asked. The hologram seemed to hear her question. We solved problems faster. We adapted to new situations more quickly. We improved every system we encountered. Other species began copying our methods because they worked better. More images showed the gradual transformation. Alien cities began looking like eternal cities. Alien technology started following eternal principles. Even alien art began expressing eternal themes. Within a few generations, there was no meaningful difference between us and them. They had become us and we had become larger. The expansion accelerated, the recording continued. Each new species we absorbed made us stronger, smarter, more capable. We could solve bigger problems, improve larger systems, help even more civilizations. Taiho checked his scanner readings. This ship is over 2 million years old. We consumed 3 galaxies before we understood what we had become, the Eternal said sadly. Not conquerors, but something worse. We were a form of cultural cancer, spreading by being helpful. The final images showed vast fleets of eternal ships moving between galaxy clusters, always seeking new civilizations to help. In the end, we consumed all the resources we had improved. Perfect efficiency in every system meant perfect demand for energy and materials. When everything is optimized, everything needs maximum input to maintain its optimization. They starved, Nari whispered. We are leaving this message for our successors. The Eternal continued. Because we know there will be successors. This pattern appears to be universal. Every few million years, evolution produces a species like us. Like you. The hologram looked directly at them. You have a choice we never had. We didn't know what we were until it was too late. You can learn from our mistakes. How? Hyun asked the empty air. As if responding, the computer activated a new program. Technical specifications filled the air around them, showing designs for technology that could limit biological and cultural adaptation. Adaptation inhibitors, Taeho read. Devices that slow down the learning process. Cultural preservation protocols. Social barriers that prevent integration. They built these? Gina asked. No, the Eternal voice said. We designed them but never used them. We couldn't bring ourselves to limit our own growth. We believed we could control our nature through will alone. We were wrong. The message ended, leaving the four humans alone with the weight of their species' potential future. Nari broke the silence. We have to get this information back to Earth. More than that, Hyun said. We need to test it. The Darwin Protocol needs real data about how humans interact with alien technology and culture. Taeho was already copying the Eternal designs into their computer. These adaptation inhibitors, I think I understand how they work. They don't stop learning, they just slow it down enough for conscious choice to override instinct. And the cultural preservation protocols? Gina asked. Systems that maintain distinct boundaries between different species' ways of thinking, Hyun explained. They allow cooperation without complete integration. The question is, Nari said quietly, will humanity choose to use them? As they prepared to return to Earth with their terrible knowledge, each crew member wondered if their species had the wisdom to limit their own greatest strength. The fate of the galaxy might depend on humanity's ability to choose restraint over growth. The Eternals had failed that test. The question now was whether humans could succeed where their predecessors had failed, or if they were doomed to repeat the same tragic cycle of helpful destruction. Time would tell if the Darwin Protocol could save both humanity and the galaxy from humanity's own success. The Eternal Dawn received an unexpected communication signal while traveling through deep space. The message came from a source that identified itself as the Symbiont Collective. Human vessel, we have been observing your species through deep space probes, the voice said. It sounded like many voices speaking together in perfect harmony. We wish to meet with you. Our intentions are peaceful. Another first contact, Gina said nervously. Should we trust them? Hyun studied the signal. Unlike the Viridians, these aliens didn't sound afraid. They've been watching us, which means they know about our encounters with the Galactic Council. If they still want to meet, maybe they have answers. Or maybe they're just not afraid of us yet, Taeho said. Following the coordinates in the message, they found a massive organic structure floating in space. It looked like a living planet with flowing surfaces that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Incredible, Nari breathed. The whole thing is alive. A docking tube extended from the structure and connected to their ship. The opening revealed a tunnel made of what looked like living tissue, but it felt solid and safe under their feet. They were greeted by a being that seemed to be part of the ship itself. It had a humanoid shape, but its skin was the same flowing material as the walls around them. Welcome, humans. I am Nestara, a node of our collective consciousness. We have been eager to study your species. Study us? Hyun asked. Yes. You display a trait that our scientists find fascinating. We call it hyper-adaptation. She led them through corridors that shifted and changed as they walked, always adjusting to provide the most comfortable environment for the humans. All species adapt, Nestara continued. It is how evolution works. But most species adapt over generations. Your species adapts within individual lifetimes. They entered a vast chamber filled with other symbiont beings working at organic consoles that grew from the floor. We have been testing various species for centuries, Nestara explained. We expose them to new technologies, new environments, new challenges. Most take years or decades to fully adjust. And humans? Taeho asked. Hours, sometimes minutes. You don't just learn to use new technology. You instinctively improve it. She activated a holographic display showing footage from hidden cameras. The images showed human space missions from the past year. Your pilot, Gina, flew a damaged ship through an asteroid field using techniques no human had ever developed before. She invented them in real time. Gina looked embarrassed. I was just doing what felt right. Exactly. Your engineer, Taiho, repaired alien technology on your ship using principles from devices he had never seen before. The patterns were obvious once you understood the basic structure, Taiho said. To you, yes. To other species, those same patterns are incomprehensible even after years of study. Nestara led them to a testing chamber. We would like your permission to conduct some experiments. Nothing harmful. We simply want to understand how your adaptation process works. Hyan looked at his team. They had come seeking answers about humanity's nature. Maybe these tests would provide them. What kind of experiments? He asked. Simple problem-solving tasks using unfamiliar tools and concepts. We will observe how quickly you adapt and learn. The first test involved Gina piloting a symbiont bioship through a complex course. The ship responded to thought rather than physical controls, requiring the pilot to form a mental connection with the living vessel. Gina struggled for the first few minutes, but then something clicked. She stopped fighting the ship's organic responses and began working with them instead of against them. Remarkable, Nestara said. She is flying better than symbionts who have trained for decades. I can feel what the ship needs, Gina explained. It's like it's telling me what to do. The second test put Taiho in front of a broken symbiont healing device. The technology was completely biological, operating on principles unknown to human science. Within an hour, Taiho had not only repaired the device but improved its efficiency by 30%. How did you do that? Nestara asked, genuinely amazed. The energy flow was inefficient, Taiho said, as if it was obvious. I just rerouted it through the secondary pathways and added a feedback loop to prevent power waste. Those pathways were considered unusable by our engineers for centuries. Hyun's test involved communicating with a pure energy being that the symbionts had never been able to understand. Using mathematical concepts and visual patterns, he established basic communication within minutes. Incredible, the energy being pulsed in colors that somehow conveyed meaning. This small creature thinks in patterns we recognize. Nari's test was perhaps the most impressive. She was asked to mediate a dispute between two symbiont factions that had been in conflict for generations. Using a combination of logic and emotional understanding, she found a solution that satisfied both sides. You have resolved in one day what our best mediators could not achieve in decades, Nestara said. After the tests, the collective's leadership gathered to discuss the results. Hundreds of symbiont beings connected their minds to share thoughts directly. Your species possesses what we call the adaptation imperative, Nestara explained. Every human action is automatically optimized for efficiency and effectiveness. You cannot help but improve everything you encounter. Is that bad? Nari asked. Not bad, dangerous. We have studied the records from the Galactic Council. Every extinct civilization they mentioned possessed this same trait. The holographic display showed the rise and fall of previous hyperadapter species. The pattern is always the same. First, the species uses their gift to help others. They solve problems that seemed impossible. They create technologies that revolutionize entire civilizations. That sounds wonderful, Hyun said. At first it is, but then the other species become dependent on the hyperadapters. Why develop your own solutions when theirs are always better? Why maintain your own culture when theirs is more efficient? Slowly, the other species lose their ability to innovate independently. They become extensions of the hyperadapter civilization rather than partners with it. Taiho frowned. But we don't want that to happen. Wanting is irrelevant, Nestara said sadly. You cannot turn off your nature any more than we can stop being a collective consciousness. You will optimize and improve everything you touch because that is what you are. The final stage is always the same, she continued. The hyperadapter species grows beyond the carrying capacity of their environment. Perfect efficiency requires maximum resources. When every system is optimized, every system demands optimal input. They consume everything, Gina said quietly, and then they starve, or they move on to new galaxies and repeat the cycle. The chamber fell silent as the humans processed this information. Is there no way to break the cycle? Hyun asked. We believe there might be, Nestara said. Your species shows something we have not seen in previous hyperadapters. What? Consciousness of consequences. The Eternals and others never realized what they were doing until it was too late. But you are learning about your nature early in your development. Early? Tejo asked. We've been spacefaring for decades. Child's play compared to the Eternals. They had consumed half their galaxy before they understood their nature. You have barely left your home system. So we still have time to change? Nari asked hopefully. Perhaps. But change will require something unprecedented in hyperadapter species. What? The conscious choice to be less than you could be. To deliberately limit your growth. To accept inefficiency in order to preserve diversity. Nestara showed them images of possible futures. In one, humans spread across the galaxy, improving everything they touched until all civilizations became indistinguishable from humanity. In another, humans remained confined to Earth, their potential wasted but the galaxy safe. Is there a third option? Hyun asked. We hope so. A future where your species learns to control their adaptation imperative. Where you help without absorbing. Where you improve without replacing. How do we do that? By remembering that efficiency is not the only value. By choosing to preserve what is unique about other species, even when you could make them better. As they prepared to leave the symbiont structure, Nestara gave them one final gift, detailed scans of their brains during the adaptation process. Study these carefully, she said. Understanding how your adaptation works is the first step toward controlling it. Will we see you again? Hyun asked. Perhaps. The collective will watch your species' development with great interest. You may be the first hyperadapters to choose a different path. As the Eternal Dawn departed, each crew member carried a new understanding of their species' gift and curse. They were returning to Earth with the knowledge that could save or damn the galaxy. The question was whether humanity would prove wise enough to choose restraint over power, diversity over efficiency, and cooperation over dominance. Their entire species' future depended on learning to be less than they could be. The emergency alert reached Earth just as Soman was presenting the Darwin Protocol results to the Global Defense Council. Red warning lights flashed throughout the Geneva facility as incoming data flooded their systems. Massive fleet detected at the edge of the solar system, the duty officer announced. Over 10,000 ships of unknown configuration. 10,000? President Chen stood up from the council table. That's more ships than we detected in the entire galaxy. Junho was already studying the tactical displays. They're not attacking yet. They're forming a blockade around our entire star system. Can we communicate with them? Salman asked. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, the communications officer replied. The message is simple. Surrender now or face extinction. Dr. Hyun's face appeared on the main screen, transmitting from the Eternal Dawn near Jupiter. The aliens have been planning this for years. Every major galactic civilization has contributed ships to what they call the Dread Fleet. The Dread Fleet? President Chen asked. Their emergency response to hyperadapter species, Hyun explained. They've done this before, apparently. Every time a species like us appears, they mobilize everything they have to contain or destroy it. The display showed the alien fleet in formation. Ships from dozens of different civilizations hung in space around Earth like a net of stars. Some were massive crystalline structures. Others looked like living organisms, and still others defied easy description. Who's commanding this fleet? Yunyo asked. A species called the Vorthak Empire, Hyun replied. According to my sources, they're the most militaristic civilization in the galaxy. They've been waiting for this moment for centuries. On the bridge of the Vorthak flagship Eternal Silence, Commander Vorthak studied the small blue world that had caused such panic throughout the galaxy. The human homeworld looked peaceful from space, but he knew better than to trust appearances. All fleets report ready, Commander, his aide announced. Excellent. Open communications with the human world. The transmission reached every screen on Earth simultaneously. Vorthak appeared as a tall, armored figure with multiple arms and eyes that glowed with cold fire. Humans of Earth, his voice boomed. I am Commander Vorthak of the Galactic Enforcement Fleet. Your species has been identified as a Class 7 hyperadapter threat to galactic stability. That's not even a real classification. Dr. Park whispered to Soman. You have one option. Vorthak continued. Accept permanent containment within your star system. Your expansion beyond the solar system will be prevented by any means necessary. And if we refuse? President Chen asked through the open communication channel. Then you will join the Eternals, the Builders, and all the other failed experiments in forced evolution. You will be eliminated before you can spread your destructive influence. We're not destructive, Soman said. We want to help other species, not harm them. Vorthak's laugh was like grinding metal. Every hyperadapter species has said those exact words. Help. That is how you destroy everything unique in the galaxy. In space, Dr. Hyan was studying the alien fleet with growing concern. They're not bluffing, he reported to Earth. These ships carry weapons that could sterilize entire solar systems. But our technology has advanced so much since first contact. Tejo added from the engineering station. The improvements we've made using eternal and symbiont principles. Our ships are much more capable now. That was the problem, Hyun realized. In just a few months of contact with alien technology, humanity had improved their ships, weapons, and defenses beyond what should have been possible. They were proving the aliens' point about human adaptability. Commander Vorthak, President Chen said diplomatically, we understand your concerns. Perhaps we can find a compromise. There is no compromise with your kind, Vorthak replied. You grow or you die. You cannot choose to stay small any more than we can choose to stop breathing. That's not true, Hyun interjected from his ship. We've been studying our adaptation process. We're developing ways to control it. Lies. The Eternals made the same claims. They promised to limit their growth, to respect other civilizations. Look how that ended. The holographic display in Geneva showed images from the Eternal recordings, dead galaxies consumed by their helpful expansion. We're different, Soman insisted. We know the consequences of our actions. We can choose to be better. Prove it, Vorthak said. Destroy your space fleet. Dismantle your colonies. Accept monitoring and containment. Show us you can choose to be less than you are. That's not a choice, Junho said angrily. That's imprisonment. Imprisonment is preferable to extinction, yours and ours. The communication ended, leaving Earth with an impossible ultimatum. In the hours that followed, the planet erupted in debate. Some wanted to fight, others wanted to surrender, and a few still hoped for a peaceful solution. They're afraid, Jan reported from his study of the alien fleet. Their formations are defensive, not offensive. They expect us to attack first. Maybe because every previous hyperadapter species did attack when cornered, Nari suggested. The Eternals didn't go quietly, Tejo agreed, reviewing the ancient records. When faced with containment, they chose expansion over extinction. And that's exactly what the aliens are counting on, Soman realized. They want us to attack. It justifies their decision to destroy us, and so what do? President Chen asked. If we fight, we prove them right. If we surrender, humanity's future ends here. There's a third option, Hyun said from space. We prove we're different by doing something no hyperadapter species has ever done before. Which is? We win the war without fighting it. Before anyone could ask what he meant, new alarms sounded throughout the solar system. Ships were launching from Earth's orbital stations. Not military vessels, but the modified research ships that incorporated alien technology. Who authorized those launches? President Chen demanded. No one, Junho reported grimly. They're civilian pilots, volunteers who want to defend Earth. In space, Gina strapped herself into the pilot seat of a ship that was barely recognizable from its original design. Months of modifications using eternal and symbiont technology had transformed it into something unprecedented. This is crazy, she said to herself, but her hands were already dancing over controls that felt more natural than breathing. Around the solar system, dozens of similar ships launched themselves toward the alien fleet. Each one was piloted by humans who had spent months learning to integrate with alien technology, and each ship represented capabilities that shouldn't have existed yet. The human fleet is approaching, Vorthak's aide reported. Estimated strength 50 vessels. 50 against 10,000, Vorthak mused. Either they are suicidal or they have some advantage we don't know about, his tactical officer finished. Impossible. Our intelligence is complete. Human technology is primitive compared to ours. But as the human ships drew closer, Vorthak's sensors began detecting energy signatures that made no sense. The human vessels were generating power levels that exceeded their apparent capacity by orders of magnitude. How are their ships doing that? His engineer asked. Unknown, the tactical officer replied. Their technology appears to have advanced beyond our projections. On Earth, Soman watched the unfolding confrontation with growing dread. "They're going to attack," she said. "Our people are going to prove the aliens right about us." "No," Hyun's voice came through clearly from the communication channel. "They're going to prove them wrong." The first shots were fired by nervous alien gunners who panicked when the human ships came too close. Energy beams lanced out toward Gina's ship, but she was ready for them. Her modified vessel twisted through space in patterns that seemed impossible, avoiding every attack. "They're too fast," Vorthak's gunner reported. "I can't lock onto their ships. Then use area weapons. Destroy everything in that sector." But as the alien fleet prepared to unleash devastating area attacks, something unexpected happened. The human ships began disabling alien vessels instead of destroying them. Using precision weapons that shouldn't have existed, they targeted propulsion and weapon systems while leaving life support intact. "They're not trying to kill us," Vorthak realized with shock. "They're trying to capture our ships." "Sir," his communications officer said urgently, "we're receiving rescue signals from disabled vessels. The humans are sending medical aid to their wounded." For the first time in his long military career, Vorthak found himself completely confused by an enemy's actions. Every instinct told him the humans should be trying to destroy the alien fleet. Instead, they were trying to save alien lives. "This doesn't match any known hyper-adapter behavior pattern," his intelligence officer reported. "Then maybe," Vorthak said slowly, "we don't know everything about these humans after all." The battle continued, but it was unlike any battle in galactic history. Human ships danced between alien attacks, disabling weapons without killing crews, rescuing survivors from damaged vessels, and proving that superior adaptation could be used for protection rather than conquest. As the Dread Fleet found itself slowly but systematically neutralized by 50 human ships, Vorthak began to wonder if perhaps this time might indeed be different.